And so game week 25 in FPL is in the books, and it was a game week where those who avoided the premiums paid the penalty, with Cole Palmer bagging a bracer from the spot and Erling Haaland reminding us all of his prowess from the 12-yard line. And yes, Cole Palmer, we are going to talk about him because that hat-trick is a hat-trick that could shake the very foundations of the game. But this game week, this is one of celebration and of commiseration. This is one where we saw the highest highs and the lowest lows for all teams. It was one of the game weeks which could prove season defining and could well lead to some serious repercussions as we approach the big double game week next week in the midweek. And of course, for my team, well, it was a funny one because I made that big fuss about Cole Palmer. I talked about Cole Palmer in the land of ifs. If he's fit, if he's injured, if he plays 90 minutes, all that jazz. Well, what about, and what I said was, what if Cole Palmer does what Cole Palmer can do? What player in this game, what has that differential power to hit a 20-pointer? And that's exactly what Cole Palmer did. But the new nightmare, he stuck to the plan. And of all the times to stick to the plan, it's the time when Cole Palmer goes and gets that 20-pointer, that massive differential boost we are all searching for at this stage of the season. And it would be easy to be frustrated, but we have to be a bit objective. That's the word. We have to be objective when we come to analysing this. It was 2 soft penalties. Yes, he got the goal, but it was not a vintage performance. It was not a performance that screams future FPL points. And I know the urge is going to be there for people to be pushing to get Cole Palmer in. They're going to be looking at the team, maybe just one hit. Maybe I'll take a hit and get Cole Palmer. Maybe I'll take two hits. 8 points. What's 8 points when Cole Palmer is in this form? And this is coming from your old pal, the Nightmare, the hitmaster himself. Although you couldn't really call me the master when they've gone so wrong. But I would urge caution on the hit for Palmer. I've seen Tom Dollymore, the #1 FPL player of all time by the objective metrics. And Tom Dollymore, he's like, I'm going to bring in Palmer from Boomo this week. Palmer will be my signing, but it's not to do with the 20-pointer. And let's be real, come on now. Of course it's to do with the 20-pointer. If Cole Palmer had blanked, nobody would be rushing to get Cole Palmer in. It's because he only played 70 minutes. Come on now. If Cole Palmer had blanked, people would be saying, he only lasted 70 minutes. Rotation risk. We can't be getting Palmer. What's he done? So what I would just say is, if you are feeling that urge to go for Cole the goal, if you are feeling a bit silly, what if people think I'm a reactionary? What if people think I am just reacting to what I have witnessed and the points I have lost? What if people think I'm a points tracer? Just remember, the greatest FPL player of all time is doing the exact same thing. Don't let anybody make you feel stupid for wanting to do it when the best of them all is doing the same thing. And is it points tracing? Yes, but we're all tracing points in this game. Tracing points is the aim of the game in FPL. And Cole Palmer with those 2 games against Leeds and Burnley, those are points we could be tracing. But I again urge caution. People writing Leeds off, but Leeds are a different beast now. Since that formational change, since that tactical restructuring from Daniel Farke, Leeds are a different beast. And people think Chelsea are just going to roll over Leeds. They don't know the history, the Ken Bates derby. People don't know what this match means to Leeds United. Frank Lampard, Spygate, all these dramas, although that was Derby, of course, but all these things with Leeds and Chelsea. This is not a walk in the park for Chelsea by any stretch of the imagination. So I would urge caution. But that, of course, is not... We'll get into it in a bit because we'll talk about my team. We'll talk about my team, the FPL Nightmare. And I did not bring in Cole Palmer. No, I made the rookie mistake. I made the most elementary error that it is possible to make in FPL. And I brought in Elliot Anderson, and that's not the error. It was a very shrewd move, I thought. I sold Longstaff and I brought in Elliot Anderson. I kept one free transfer for the second game week running. Your old pal, the Nightmare, has got 2 free transfers ahead of this double game week. Brought in Elliot Anderson, and that's fine. He got 4 points, that's fine. Except, you know what I did? I took the screenshot for the socials because it's all about kudos in this game, in this YouTube game, in this social media game. It is all about the kudos. And I thought, I'm going to get my screenshot, get it ready for the socials, for the Blue Sky boys, for the Twitter followers. We'll get the screenshot. And then I forgot to save the team. And oh my word. So instead of having Elliot Anderson in my team, those beautifully consistent 4 points instead of Elliot Anderson, he was third sub. And instead, in his place in my team was James Garner, the exact same player in a blue shirt. So I lost nothing. I got the 4 points anyway. So all is not lost in the land of the Nightmare, but it's a good lesson. It's an important lesson on focus. It's an important lesson on making sure you've got the basics, the fundamentals right in this game, because otherwise you can make yourself look a tit like it's 4 years. 4 years since I've made that basic error. The most stupid error you can make in FPL. I made that error. And it's 4 years. And 4 years ago, it was a lot more decisive. It's a lot more troublesome. Because 4 years ago, I was chasing my only ever top 10k ranking. I was chasing down that top 10k. And I thought, I know the man to do it. I'm going to bring in the one everyone is dodging. I am going to bring in the man everyone is having second thoughts about. And I brought in Cristiano Ronaldo. And he went and got 13 points, but it didn't matter. Because I'd forgot to save my team, and he was third sub with Timu Pukki in the 11. 2 points, 11 points lost while chasing your only ever top 10k ranking. Can you imagine if I'd have missed out that season? Can you imagine the anguish? I'd still be feeling it now. Luckily, I got in there. 9,394 I finished that year, winning the world's greatest mini league, the League of Gentlemen, in the process for the first time. And it was a scary, it's scary. Your ass drops there when you realise you've left the team on, because you know, not saving your team, it's the only thing in FPL you can't blame somebody else for. It's the only thing in FPL you can't blame circumstances or the managers or the team selections or the weather or acts of God or even the royals dying. You can't blame any of it. When you forget to save your team, it's all on you. And that's what I had to face this week. So I'm watching Elliot Anderson concede 3 goals and still racking up the points, and I'm thinking, what is this? But I knew I had Garner, so it wasn't the end of the world. They are, of course, the same player. Now, the rest of my team, it's been a good week. 80 points I've ended up with, I think. Obviously, that can always be refined. 80 points. And 2 weeks ago, 12.6 million game week rank dropped down to the 2 million. Well, now I'm back up to 1.1 million in 2 game weeks. That's a massive rise. Almost 50% of my rank lopped off in 2 game weeks. So close to that top million, from 9.8 million in the world. So close to the top million, but not quite there. An Ekatike goal would have got me there. But I cannot complain. You can't complain when Dean Henderson finally gets you the clean sheet you've been craving. 8 points from Dean Henderson. it's a dream. Like, for weeks, I've just assumed he's a 2-pointer every week. So to get 8 points away from home against Brighton, you can't complain. Timber, Gabriel, Rice did what they do. Tarkovsky might be becoming a problem. That's 2 weeks without DEFCONs now. Can't be paying £5.5, £6 million for a DEFCON daddy who isn't getting the DEFCONs. Not when James Hill is 3.9 million getting DEFCONs, got better fixtures, and he's even getting assists. So, I mean, that's one on my mind. Now I've got to give my man Gary Beer from the Pubcast his flowers today, because as the deadline approached, I was in turmoil. Do I start Hall? Do I start Thiago? Didn't know what to do. And Gary Beer from the Pubcast, he talked to me. He said, cut through your bias. Do what I do. Focus on the expected ownership. Focus on the projected points. Focus on what FPL Review tells me and get Thiago in your team. And in the absence of certainty, I deferred to the algorithms, I deferred to the projections, but also what it was, I just thought, Newcastle are terrible. Huh? We're terrible. Eddie Howe on the brink. So I started Thiago, got them points. Again, that's 2 weeks in a row. Started a striker against Newcastle. You know, and when you look at Haaland, people saying Cole Palmer for game week 27. Newcastle have got Spurs, Villa, both away, and then a trip to Azerbaijan before they play Haaland in game week 27. I can see the appeal of Palmer against Burnley, but I can't look past Haaland that week. It is going to be a massacre. I'm really worried about Eddie Howe. Really worried about my Newcastle at the minute. You know, they say Eddie Howe's on the brink. Well, they don't. The journalists don't, but the fans, they're starting to turn, and I understand it, you know. It's been another tough season, £200 million wasted on dross, like Wisser the misser. Wouldn't matter if he'd actually put some effort in, you know. Baltamada, a player unsuited for the style, unsuited for the system. You know, great player, but not right for Newcastle. Anthony Alanga. You look at some of these right wingers. Eddie Howe turned down that Ryan of Bournemouth, turned him down. We've only got 25 million to spend. We have to make sure we spend it on hot prospects if the deal is there to be made. Well, Bournemouth signed Ryan for, 24 million? Goal and an assist already. Meanwhile, Jacob Murphy giving away penalties for Newcastle, like, you know what I mean? And then, of course, Jacob Ramsey looks promising, but what's the point? What is the point in selling Sean Longstaff for Jacob Ramsey? You might as well just keep the local lad. It sounds daft. I think Newcastle would be better off if they had Sean Longstaff this season. You know, there's something not right at Newcastle. There is some fog on the Tyne this season, and people say it's tiredness, but when you see a club stalwart like Jamal Lascelles leave after 14 years, 12 years, 14 years, not even making a social media post, you have to think what has gone on there. You know, has he had a go at the players and Eddie Howe backed the shirkers like Gordon? I don't know. Not really relevant for FPL, except avoid them all. Except, of course, Bruno Guimaraes, another big-name penalty. And, you know, I took the chance of going against Chelsea. I haven't lost out defensively, have I? You know, they just keep conceding goals. Chelsea, fair enough, I could have got Cucurella, but Shaloba would have been the one. I feel like taking on Chelsea so far defensively has paid off. Enzo. Now, he got 8 points last week. Did he get, 2 points this week? 10 points. I kept Bruno Guimaraes and he got 11. And, of course, Mookie Early last week did the business as well. So, I took on Enzo Fernandez with Brookie Early. I keep telling you about this home rotation with Bruno Guimaraes and Nordi Mukiele. People keep saying you can't predict these things. Like the Conor McGregor, you can't predict these things, but I can. Because I'm just looking at what's happened and backing it to continue, you know? And we've done about 100 points, the Brookie Early rotation, when I first highlighted it. Now they're on 170 points. 1 point behind Haaland until that 11-pointer today. You know, Brookie Early is clear of the field. Clear. And you've been told for weeks now. And of course, this is the challenge for this week because of Nordi Mukiele up against Liverpool at home. Maybe this week I tweak it. Play Bruno against Spurs. Dr. Tottenham could sort out Newcastle, although it's a no-win situation for Hal. Because if we lose, bloody hell, you've lost to Spurs of all teams. But if you win, oh, it's only Spurs. They're hardly an above-average team. I'll shout out to Adam and Baker, quality podcast. Get on above average, although if you're watching me, you probably watch them as well. Garner, 4 points. I've said about him. Bruno Fernandes, captain, just keeps ticking over. Won't be captain next week, but nice. Declan Rice, 5 points. Thiago Haaland, 11. TK, 2. I mean, what a farce that. We're quite lucky because if Szoboszlai hadn't brought down Haaland, he probably would have got more and us non-captainers would have been punished. But you can't really call it punishment when he's been in the form he's been in. But, you know, I mean, what happened with that? The thing is, with that red card for Szoboszlai, you can see why it was given. If you play the advantage, and then Haaland fouls, you have to give the foul. But like to anyone with common sense, you've got two players fouling each other, you just ignore them both, especially since neither of them impacted the play. The ball carried on right into the net. So it's one of them that is grammatically correct, but who cares? You know? Nobody writes laugh out loud when you could just say lol. So a bit of a strange one. You can understand it probably helped. Like I say, Szoboszlai red card helps us all. The Haaland not getting that second goal for tapping it in definitely helps us all. But it's a very strange one. And then I benched Lewis Hall. You know, he's going to be gone in the summer. He's too good for Newcastle, the way they are. Don't want this to turn into a Newcastle analysis, but that's the team to target. You know, Spurs, Solanke maybe. I don't know. Certainly Aston Villa. Well, at least, you know, there's FA Cup match. I don't know. No, we don't have the FA Cup match. The FA Cup match isn't in the league, so that doesn't really matter at all. But I would certainly hold off. So, yeah, game week rank 500k, give or take. Up to 1.15 million, according to FPL.team, which I was looking at this week because live FPL was slow. And that brings us to next week, you know. And it's a big one, you know. This is the double game week, and I will give you the double game week advice. Because people are going to say, which Arsenal? And this is going to have to be a preview as well as the emotional reaction. Because it's a Tuesday deadline and it's the last day of my annual leave tomorrow and I just can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered to make another video for you. So we'll make a bumper edition tonight. So, comes to the big double game week, which Wolves play as well. None of them. They're not good enough. Wolves are not worth your FPL team. You could bring in Jose Sarr, but then, you know, you're going to waste a transfer on a keeper against Arsenal. What's the point? Oh, he's got that double fixture. I mean, he could quite easily concede 4 goals. You know, it's just not worth it. Because, especially when you're going to have to then use the free hit. I take them out in game week 31. 2 transfers on a Wolves player for a double game week against Arsenal. And whoever else have got Nottingham Forest away. Just doesn't seem to make any sense to me. So, Arsenal, that's the question. Oh, which Arsenal players would you get? Well, Gabriel, top of the list. Declan Rice, second. I would have Timber third. If you've got David Raya, I would not switch. Seems pretty obvious to me. Saliba, if you want the triple up, is not a bad shout, but what's the point? You might as well, if you're going to bring in a player from Arsenal, you've got Gabriel and Rice, you're going to bring in someone, you might as well bring in Raya. One, because he's matching Timber anyway, but also because in game week 31, you can hide him on the bench and play Dubravka or whoever your sub-keeper is. And that just buys you that, gives you that extra player in 31 without any detriment to your team in the meantime. So, yeah. I tell you, Gyökeres, there'll be a few people wondering about Gyökeres. Kai Havertz. I don't mind it. I probably wouldn't risk Havertz because, you know, he's just back from injury and he's not that great anyway. I know my man Kieran Discomfort, FPL Discomfort, he is top 2,000 in the world and he went for Havertz. So maybe you should listen to him. I think he's an Arsenal fan as well. So there's an argument to be made there, but Gyökeres has the penalties. 140 minutes for Gyökeres as a minimum, you'd have to think, against Brentford and Wolves. Penalties. If you're chasing, is he even worth the triple captain? I don't know. I'd probably say the captaincy is enough of a differential in itself if you were to take that gamble. Many won't. But to be honest, I'm probably going to play the triple captain on Gabriel. And my man, the D unit, he's been there the whole time. Why go Gabriel? Everyone's going to go Gabriel. I don't think they will. I think Gabriel will be more of a differential than you realise, especially as triple captain, because psychologically people just do not want to captain defenders. Doesn't matter that Gabriel matching Haaland point for point. Doesn't matter in the points per game. It doesn't matter that Gabriel keeps on delivering week after week. It doesn't matter that Gabriel probably, you're getting at least, what, 1 clean sheet and a DEFCONs as a minimum this week, adding the appearance points. So that's 10 points as a minimum. Get a goal, probably get you the 3 bonus. So that's 19 points, 19, 38, 57. I mean, King Gabriel against Brentford, terrible from set pieces. Even Newcastle scored against them from a set piece. You know, can Gabriel do what Sven Botman did? Pretty sure he can. So that's 19 points from a goal, a clean sheet and 1 DEFCON for Gabriel. 19 points, 57 triple captain points. And I don't think many will go there. I don't. Because of that psychological, you can't captain a defender. You certainly can't triple captain. This is not Shane Duffy from a few years back. This is Gabriel. Over 7 points a game. Gabriel. 14 points on the averages. Now the rain's coming down. I'm a bit worried about my microphone. I know my camera's all right, but what about the microphone? We just don't know. So we'll move on. We'll move on to my team for the week. For game week 26. Henderson against Burnley in goal. Timber and Gabriel and Rice in the double. Tarkovsky and Garner against Bournemouth. Bruno Guimaraes against Spurs. Elliot Anderson against Wolves. Bruno Fernandes against West Ham. Haaland against Fulham. And Ekitike against Sunderland. I don't think I need to do anything. There was obviously things I could do. Cole Palmer. And I can get to Palmer, bringing in Ronaldo James Hill for Lewis Hall and Tarkowski, and then I'd have the rotation of Mukiele and James Hill with Ronaldo as the sub. And then I could sell Bruno Guimaraes, and I might do. It's not off the table. I know Mukiele is good, but there is that doubt. How long can this quirk continue? I don't know. I'm getting sodden here. I don't know whether to embrace the rain or to walk faster and kind of shield my microphone. It's not ideal, I'll give you that. But I feel if I'm moving my microphone inside my jacket, then it's just gonna... I did a little test of that last week, and all it did was muffle the sound. So we'll take the risk. I'll take the risk for you, my Nightmare family. So I don't think there's anything I need to do next week. I think that team is fine. Chelsea's still, you know, like I say, Leeds, I don't think it's an easy fixture. I don't. I would not be rushing to tear your team up for Cole Palmer. Ismail Assar, on the other hand, what has he got? Burnley or Wolves in the next two? Leeds, I know what I said about Leeds, but still, you know, Burnley, Wolves and Leeds in the next 5. I mean, that's a lovely run. I think it's Man United and Spurs, the other ones. Don't quote me on that. The problem with Sarr is he's a transfer in and then a transfer out in a few weeks. But he scored against Brighton. He's on the penalties, and we've seen the power of the penalties this week. Is Sarr worth the gamble? I don't know. I don't know, because he isn't in my plan. And I've used my emergency transfer. I had that one transfer saved in the plan, and I used it to bring in Elliot Anderson, of all people. And I do wonder if I have gone a bit DEFCON heavy in this team. If, you know, that midfield, there's so many explosive options on Bumo, Semenyo, Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Ismail Assar, Harry Wilson. So many explosive options in midfield, and I've stacked it with these consistent players. Your Guimaraes, your Fernandez, although they're not getting the DEFCONs anymore. And then I've got, Garner and Rice, Elliot Anderson. Am I missing a trick? Do I need to be more aggressive? I don't think so. Because this period of the season, and when you're talking about FPL, you're talking about the running. There are, 13 game weeks left? There's 2 halves. There's now until game week 31, and then there's game week 32 till the finish. This part of the season, this first half of the running, for me, maybe not for you, but for me, is all about sticking in the contention. It's all about hanging in there. You know, we've got 10 men behind the ball. We're getting attacked, but we've raised 800,000 places in 2 weeks on the counter with the likes of Garner, with the likes of Anderson, with the likes of Tarkowski, Declan Rice. It's not spectacular, you know. Yes, we lost out on Cole Palmer this week, but we got Ekitike last week. Instead of 22 points, we've got 15 and 2 transfers. Well, it would have been 19 because I would have had to take the hit last week. So I've lost out on 3 points and I've got 2 transfers. I don't think that's a bad outcome. I don't. Can Cole Palmer, can Ekitike outscore Palmer between now and game week 31? That's the gamble I took. That is the decision I made. And he's doing all right. You know, it's not spectacular. He's doing all right. Maybe Florian Wirtz could come in because he looked great today, I thought. There's options, but I don't think I'm going to take any of them up this week. Maybe. If I was to make a transfer this week, it would be Guimaraes, and I don't want to sell him. But Newcastle are in disarray. Well, no, it wouldn't necessarily be Guimaraes. I've got the 2. And Lewis Hall, he's a great player. He's got so much potential. He is England's left back. He could win that World Cup with England, but I'm not convinced he's going to win another game with Newcastle for the rest of the season. We are poor. So I think Hall has to go. Tarkowski approaching the same boat when I could have Lacroix with the games of Sarr. Maybe that's the play. Hall and Guimaraes out for Sarr and Lacroix. Burnley Wolves, Leeds in a few weeks. Man United Spurs, it's not bad. But if I do that, I'm going to have to transfer them all out in the blank or go with less than 11, which is not always the end of the world. But if I do that, if I get Sarr and Lacroix, I'm pretty much ruling out transfers, having them transfers in the bank when a wildcard in 32, and I'm not convinced that's the best move. But they are good games. But a wildcard, the wildcard is still an option. People say you shouldn't wildcard. I say, why not? If you've got a plan, if you have a strategy. But then if a wildcard, I'm still going to have to make the transfers anyway. So I don't think that's the move. I am sticking with the plan. They said I couldn't do it, but I am, and I have. And I've risen 800,000 places to the brink of the top 1 million for the first time all season. I've done it in 2 game weeks. And I've done it not with Cole Palmer. And I've done it not with the big names. I've done it with Elliot Anderson. I've done it with Ekitike. Well, Ekitike, I suppose, is a big name. But, you know, we're still fighting. It might not be ideal, but we're chasing that top 100k. We're only 6 points off the top million. 6 points in a game week where I left my new signing on the bench with the rookie mistake. 6 points off top million in the week where Cole Palmer went wild and I did not have him. It's not bad. It's not spectacular, but it's not bad, and we need to keep that perspective. And Boomer is another tasty option. Probably not for me. I don't know. I'm previewing a double game week. Right after the game week has ended, I need to let things simmer. I need to let things settle, and I need to see what happens. But I think I'm rolling because I've got me Arsenal. I've got the Arsenal triple threat that I think is the best. Triple captain Gabriel likely, 85% likely, because I don't think many will go for it. I think at most we'll see 20% triple captains played, at most, maybe even 10%, because how many people are still engaged? I don't know, probably more than most years. But if you're telling me you think 2.4 million people are triple captaining Gabriel in game week 26, I think you maybe need to lower the expectations. I don't think 2.4 million people are captain Arsenal players in total, never mind the triple captain. I think it's the play. Unless I get a rush of blood to the head and sell Rice for Gyökeres. But of course, we have to see what happens. We have to see the press conferences. We have to see if there's any injuries. Obviously, Mbeumo limping is a worry to owners for him. But for me, my team looks good. But if I do nothing, am I really gonna bet against Mukiele? Start Bruno Guimaraes away from home when Nordi Mukiele is at home? I might have to, because he's at home to Liverpool. But then Liverpool, they concede down that left-hand side, down the opposition's right-hand side all the time. And Mukiele, he finds these assists. I don't know. That's a big call for me. It's a big call. But Mukiele, he's got the points against Chelsea. He's got the points against Man City. Why not add Liverpool to the Mukiele roll of honour? Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to go home. I'm going to have some tea, get this video uploaded. Enjoy the last day of my annual leave tomorrow. Well done to the Cole Palmer gamblers. That's what it's all about in this game. You take the chance when it comes. And my chance, my gamble, is to hold my horses. My gamble is to stick to the plan. when you have the worst game week rank of any FPL content creator ever. 12.6 million. And I stuck to the plan. They said I couldn't do it, but I did. And I've risen almost 1 million places in 2 game weeks. The nightmare is back. The nightmare is on his rise. Surely this double game week will see me inside that top 1 million. Surely. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time.